Good morning. It is Homeroom with Mrs. Hooker. It's good to have you all back again today. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Really quick, Mrs. Hooker introduced this card to you in the last video. If you haven't watched day 3, which I actually posted just today because I was having a hard time uploading it yesterday. So I posted it this morning. So if you haven't done day 3 yet, do day 3 first. This is day 4. And I explained these cards. So these are story cards, and this was yesterday's. I would like you to have a notebook or a journal to write your stories in, and each day Mrs. Hooker is going to show you a new story card, and you're going to write a story from these cards. So for instance, the card from yesterday was this picture. And the prompt says, the new salon Just for Fur had recently opened and things were going just fine until... And then this week, or not this week, sorry, today's story is going to be this one. And it says, and this is how to dive, said Papa. But just as he was about to dive into the pond, the funniest... What? So this is how you dive, said Papa, and just about as he was to dive in, the funniest blank. So in your notebook or your journal, I want you to write a story for this. Remember, a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Alrighty, we're gonna keep going then. So now Mrs. Hooker has my map, and if you remember, I have told you every lesson that I am from Iowa. We've talked about the man on the map, how his boot is here. This is his body and his hat. Yesterday, or lesson 3, I introduced his frying pan. So a frying pan is what you cook in. So this is his frying pan, and he is cooking Kentucky Fried Chicken. So the state of the Kentucky kind of looks like a chicken leg, and you can remember that because of the restaurant Kentucky Fried Chicken. So, on this map, you see a lot of little names. So those are the names of big cities within the states. However, each state has one city that's bold, so the word is darker than the others. So for instance, in Iowa, it would be Des Moines. Those of you who are not from Iowa, just so you know, Des Moines is spelled kind of funny. It's spelled D-E-S-M-O-I-N-E-S. So it has S's at the end, but it is not pronounced the way it looks. It is not pronounced Des Moines, it's pronounced Des Moines. It's French, and you do not pronounce the S's. Just so you know. So it's another fact to make you smarter. So the capitals are the bold letters, bold letter words, like I just told you. And a capital, it's not like the capital that you put on a name or at the beginning of a sentence. The capital is where the house for the state government is. So there's a Capitol building in each place and each capital, and that is where the state government is. So like the governor, she is the governor of the state, so she would have an office in the Capitol building. It's also a meeting place for the legislature, and the legislature is they're the group of people who make the laws for your state. Just so you know. So when you are looking at a map, the name of the cities that are in dark black print, that is the capital. There's usually also a little star next to them, like right here, and here, and here. And that means that that is the capital. Let me put that a little bit closer so you can see the stars. See it? All right. Now we are going to look at the time. The time is 10:29. So I said 10 first, so that means the hour hand is going to go on the 10. Remember, the hour hand is the shorter hand. So we're on the 10. And then my minute hand needs to go on 29. And I count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then these little notches give me the minutes in between. So 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. 10:29. I want you to go ahead now and look at the clock in your home, and I want you to figure out what time it is. Is it AM? Is it PM? Remember I told you after 12 o'clock is PM, before 12 o'clock is AM. So right now for me, it is the AM. So it's still technically morning time. Alrighty, now we're gonna go ahead and look at the month. So the month is March, gets a capital M because it's the name of the month. The day is Thursday, capital T because it's the day of the week. It's the name. And the date is the 19th. And you will see Mrs. Hooker did our 10s and 1s. It gets 1 10 and 9 1s. If we were to make that into money, it would be 1 dime, 5 10, 1 nickel, 15, and 4 pennies, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And that is 19 cents. All right, and the year is 2020. And on yesterday's video, Mrs. Hooker told you there is something wrong with the thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. If you catch it, email me or comment on what is wrong with this. Today we're going to be learning about money and leaders, and in reading we're going to be reading a story called 9 Wild Dogs and 1 Lion, and it is a fable. But before we get started with our reading and our lesson for today, we have to go feed Walter. I found this book when I was going through my things about fish, and I wanted to read you before we feed Walter this interesting page. And then I thought we could go over and feed Walter, and we could kind of look and see if we can find some of these things on Walter. So, a fish's body is just right for living underwater, just as your body is right for living on land. You can swim, but a fish can swim better. A fish's sleek body is the perfect shape for swimming. Fins stick out from the fish's body, and they can help the fish swim. A goldfish's tail fins pushes it through the water. 6 other fins steady, steer, or stop it. Okay, so this is a type of goldfish. This is the common goldfish. This is not what Walter is. Walter's actually more like this goldfish, which is a arrowtail goldfish. So let's look at the different body parts on a fish. So you have the dorsal fin, which is the fin on the back. You have the caudal fin, which is the tail fin. You have the anal fin, which is right underneath the tail fin right here. Then you have the pelvic fin, so that's like on their belly, and he has one on this side and one on the other. And then you have the pectoral fins, which are right underneath his head. Okay, so let's go over and feed Walter, and maybe we can find some of these fins on him. Alrighty. So let's take a look. So right there, that's his tail fin. Up here is his, I already forgot what they called it. The claw. What's it? Don't remember. Oh, back here is his anal fin. Up front was his pectoral fin, and then his fin in the middle. Hey, buddy, are you ready to eat? He does not like his sunken ship very well. He always knocks it over, but he doesn't mind his little schoolhouse in there. He kind of likes that one. Okay, let's eat. Here's your food, buddy. And there he goes. Tell everybody bye. All right, very cool. So you learned something new about a goldfish today. Alrighty, I'm gonna set you back down here. So we fed Walter. Now we're gonna move on to our story. So Mrs. Hooker told you it is a fable. So I have a word, vocab word, and it is fable. And fable means a short story, typically with animals, that has a moral. So it's not a long story, it's a shorter story, and it has a moral at the end of it. So then my second vocabulary word is moral. So a moral is a lesson that is taught in the story. So it's something that when you're done reading the story, you can say, oh, I understand what that means. This story is saying this. And so it's the lesson that you learn from the story. So today's story is called 9 Wild Dogs and 1 Lion. And like we said in the definition of fable, it is a story typically with animals. And you can already tell by the name of our story that ours has animals in it. So Mrs. Hooker actually has a book full of fables. And this is the book we're reading our fable out of today. And this does not have any pictures. So it has a little picture. It has this, and then the second page has a little picture, but that is it for the pictures today. So it is just a listening story, so you can close your eyes and listen. You can just sit quietly and listen, but there isn't any pictures, so just open your ears to listen to the story. But at the end of the story, Mrs. Hooker is going to ask you what the moral or the lesson was that we could learn from this story. So you need to listen carefully to make sure that you understand what the moral of the story is. Here we go. 9 wild dogs and 1 lion. One day, 9 wild dogs were on their way to hunt. Before they had gone far, however, they came upon a lion laying in the sun. "Where are you, young fellows, going?" he said. The dogs hesitated before replying. "We are on our way to a hunt." "Oh, a hunt? Why, let us go together," suggested the lion. The dogs gave one another a worried look and then stammered out, "Whatever you wish, king of the world," they said. Soon they had caught 10 antelopes. Then the lion said, "Let us find some wise person to come and divide the meat for us." Without thinking, the youngest of the wild dogs remarked, "Well, we are 10, are we not? And we have caught 10 antelope. Let us each just take one." In an instant, the lion was up with a big, rough paw and struck the outspoken dog in the face. That means he hit him. "No, no," the leader of the pack responded. "I know how to divide the meat. The king of the world is 1, so he should have 9 of the antelopes. That will make 10 for us. We are 9, and if we take 1 of the antelopes, then that will be 10. The lion lifted his tail and strutted about, looking very pleased with this arrangement. "You are a wise dog," he said. "When did you learn such wisdom?" The brother said, "When you slapped my brother in the face." And that was true. Okay, so that was our fable for today. It was kind of a little silly at the end there. But what was the moral or the lesson from this story? I'm going to give you a hint. When you are going to get a pizza, and your mom gets a large pizza or your dad and they bring it home, who gets the most pizza? Usually one of the grown-ups, right? So you might have 2 slices, and if there's an extra piece, the person who gets it first is usually the grown-up because they're bigger and they need more food than you. So they would get more pizza than you would because that's fair. They're bigger than you, so they get more pizza. So in this story, there's this big lion who's the king of the world, the king of their savannah, and he is hunting with these wild dogs, and there's 9 wild dogs, and they catch 10 antelope. Antelope are like deer. And they say, how do we divide these? And the one brother who spoke up first, the youngest one, said, oh, well, everyone should get one because there's 10 of us. And the lion got really mad about this. So why do you think the lion got mad? Because he's bigger, right? And he needs more. And he's also the king of the world. So he should probably get more, right? So then the question is, what did that teach us? What was the moral of that story? Mrs. Hooker is going to show you what I thought the moral of the story was. Equal is not always fair. So the little lion, or not the little lion, the youngest dog thought that equal, giving everybody one, was the best way to do it. That was fair. But it wasn't really fair because the lion needed more food because he was bigger. And he probably actually caught more of the antelope than the wild dogs did because he's also quicker, more ferocious, has bigger claws and teeth, and so he probably did more of the work as well. So just because it's equal for everyone to get one does not mean it's fair. It's kind of the same as if you were standing, if you and your little brother or sister, and if you don't have a little brother or sister, then just think of a friend who's shorter than you. If you were standing behind a fence, okay, equal would be if you were all standing on the ground trying to look over the fence. You're taller, you can see over the top of the fence, but your little brother or sister, they can't because they're shorter. So equal would be, well, you're both standing on the ground, that's equal. However, that's not really fair because can your little brother or sister see anything? No. So equal is not always fair. Fair would be putting a box underneath your brother or sister's feet so they could also see above the fence and be at the same level as you. So what the moral of this story was, equal is not always fair. Okay, we are going to make a little lion today out of a paper plate and yarn, and then you are writing the moral of the story on the back. So again, here is our lion. You can also use this if you want. When we make it, you can cut out the eyes and it can be a mask. You can put a string around the back and wear it, and you and your brothers and sisters could put on a play with these, and I would love to see it or hear it. So if you record it or write it down, I would love to hear about it. So you are going to need one paper plate, some yarn, crayons or markers, and scissors and tape, and a white piece of paper. Okay, so the first step is getting the yarn. So you're going to take some yarn, and as much as you would like for the hair. Okay, so Mrs. Hooker, I took the yarn and I kind of looped it like this. And then I cut it. And then I cut the loops. So it was like this, okay? Then I took the yarn and I put it around the outside of my paper plate with tape. So let me show you. You see the tape? And I just taped it on all around the plate, just like that. Once you're done taping the yarn on, you're going to take a white piece of paper. I actually just took a index card, and you're going to cut out 2 halves of an oval, and these are going to be the ears. If you have brown paper, then you could have brown ears. I just colored mine with a colored pencil because I didn't have any brown paper. Okay, once your ears are cut out, you can color them brown if you like with a colored pencil. And then you're going to tape the ears on. And Mrs. Hooker taped the ears on by doing a loop of tape. So what that is where you take the tape and you turn it onto itself like this, and it's a loop. And then I stuck the tape behind the ear, and then I stuck the ear onto the yarn. just like that. Also, do not forget to write the moral on the back. So equal is not always fair. Okay, now we're going to do the face. So Mrs. Hooker is going to show you how to do the face really quick. Let me get my board. So you're going to start with the nose, the snout, and it is actually an upside down heart. So if you want to just turn your plate upside down and draw a heart, you could do that. So draw a heart. An upside down heart like this. Then you're gonna draw half of an oval underneath, or half of a circle underneath the heart. Then on top of this little bit here, you're going to draw the nose, little cheeks if you want, and then I added little dots for where the whiskers were. Okay, and then at the top, you do 2 ovals for the eyes, and then if you want to cut these out, you can. I didn't. You could cut it out and make it into a mask. And then I did little circles, and then I colored in the rest of it except for the circles. Like that. And then little eyebrows at the top. And you're done. And so you'll have your, of course, the circle around it is the plate, so you don't need to draw that. And then his mane and everything. So when you're done, it should look like this. And you have a lion. Awesome. Alrighty. So if you need to pause the video so you can finish doing that, go ahead. We're gonna move on now to math. So remember, for math, we are talking about money. So Mrs. Hooker wants to review really quick our touch points, and then I have a store that I set up, and we're going to look at some of the things in the store and see if the amounts of money I have for them are correct. But let's first review our touch points. We're just gonna move the touch point poster. Well, I'll just put it right here so you can see it. All right. The first one is penny, penny, easily spent, copper, brown, and worth 1 cent. So it doesn't get a touch point, it's only worth 1. Nickel, nickel, thick and fat, you're worth 5 cents, I know that. And it's the donut touch point. Remember, it has just the hole in the middle and it's worth 5. Okay, the next one is dime, dime, little and thin, I remember you're worth 10. And this one has 2, so it's 5, 10. Last one is quarter, quarter, big and bold. You're worth 25, I'm told. So it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So remember, it has 2 ears, a nose, and 2 feet. And the dime, it's like it has 2 little eyes. Okay, now we're gonna go to our store. So this is Mrs. Hooker's store that I made. And these are the things that I have for sale in my store. So let's come over here and we're gonna talk about these a little bit. Okay, so the first thing that's for sale is some Smarties, and they are 26 cents for this 1 pack of Smarties. So look at the coins that Mrs. Hooker has. I have a dime, 3 nickels, and a penny. A dime, 3 nickels, and a penny. Do I have enough money to buy the Smarties? On a piece of paper, I want you to write number 1, because Smarties is the first one, and I want you to write yes or no if we have enough money. And you can pause and count it up and figure it out. Okay, the next one is our spinner. Okay, and I have that it's worth 51 cents. Do I have enough money to buy it? I have 1 quarter, 1 nickel, and a penny. So write number 2 on your paper and then put yes or no if we have enough money to buy the spinner. Okay, our next one is the yo-yo. And it is 89 cents. And we have all sorts of money laying here. So it would be really beneficial for you to pause this so you can count the money. And this would be number 3 on your paper. And you're gonna write yes or no if we have enough money. So we have a quarter, 3 dimes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nickels, and then we have 9 pennies. So count that up. Do we have enough? That's number 3. Okay. Our next one is this baseball. The baseball is $1.36. There's 4 quarters, 2 dimes, 2 nickels, and 3 pennies. Do we have enough money to buy the baseball? Okay, the next one is $10.21, and it is this Darth Vader Mr. Potato Head. Okay, and, sorry guys, I'm turning the camera all around. We have a $5 bill, a 1, a 1, a 1, and then let's come look at the change that we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quarters, 2 dimes, 1 nickel, and a penny. And Mr. Potato Head costs $10.21. Do we have enough money right here to buy Mr. Potato Head? So this would be number 5 on your paper, and write yes or no if we have enough money. Okay, and here is our last one. So this is a little arcade game, and it is worth $21.52. So we have a 10, a 5, a 1, a 1, 2 quarters, 2 pennies. $21.52. Do we have enough? And this is number 6. Okay, so you're gonna put yes or no. So go ahead and pause and count those up if you need to. Okay, and now we're gonna count them up together and see how you did. Okay, so the first one was our Smarties. And remember, we're gonna use our touch points. So we need to have 26 cents. So we start with a dime and it gets touched twice. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26. Did we have enough? Yes. So number 1 would be yes, we did. We had enough money. Okay, next one is 51 cents for the spinner. So this is a quarter. It gets touched 5 times. So remember, we start with the ears, the nose, and the feet. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31. Do we have enough? No. Okay, for the yo-yo, this is the one with all the change. Okay. So we start with a quarter. It gets touched 5 times. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. Do we have enough change? Yes. All right, this is the baseball. It's $1.36. Let's see if we have enough. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. So that's $1. $1.10. Oh, sorry. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31, 32, 33. So we have $1.33. Is that enough money? no. So number 4 should be no. All right. Mr. Potato Head, he is $10.21. So let's count and see. We're going to start with the bills first. So we have $5, $6, $7, $8. Okay. And now let's move on to our change. So Mrs. Hooker knows that 2 quarters are 50 cents, 3 quarters are 75, and 4 are $1. So next week when we talk about money, Mrs. Hooker wants us to get to the point where we do not have to count each one of these by fives. We can look at them and say 4 quarters is worth $1. 2 quarters is 50 cents. 3 quarters is 75 cents. So I'm going to do that right now because it is going to be easier to count. So $5, $6, $7, $8. 4 quarters would be $9. And then 3 quarters is 75, so we have $9.75. Okay, so now I have $9.75, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. So that is now $10.01. Do I have enough money? Let's count it again. So we have $1.75. Okay, so 75 cents. And then we have 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, $1, and 1. So we do not have enough money. So the answer would be no. We were 20 cents shy. Okay, and the last one is the Burger Time game. And we need $21.52. So we have 10 and 5, which is 15, 16, 17, 17.50, 17.51, 17.52. Do we have enough money? Oh, sorry. I got you really close to Mr. Potato Head. I dropped my card. The answer is no. We do not have enough money. We are short. All right, so that is something super simple that you could do at home with your brothers and sisters or your mom and dad. You can just get items from around the house and then put price tags on them and then just practice buying them. Ask your parents how many coins you need to buy them and such. So it teaches you what coins you need for certain amounts, and it also is good practice for just counting your money. So that's a fun game that you can play at home too. And it's good for you can use your imagination and pretend that you're the owner of the store and your brothers and sisters are the shoppers. It's just a fun thing to get to play. So you could even do it with mom and dad in the kitchen. So you could make like lunch, and then your brothers and sisters have to come in and buy the food from you before they can eat it. Different things like that. So just have fun with it. Practice at home with money. It's so much fun to play with and use your imagination with. If you're like, Mrs. Hooker, I don't have that much money in my piggy bank. Make money. So just make pretend money. You can Google what it looks like if you don't have any at home. And then just on pieces of paper, draw it out. Write the amount. And that's another way you can do it. Okay, so now we're moving on to social studies, and we are talking about government today. So we talked about leaders, we talked about the qualities of the leaders, or the traits, and yesterday we talked about the different types of leaders we have in our government and the different types of leaders we have in our school. Today we are going to talk more about the different types of leaders that we have in our government. Okay, sorry. So this is a poster Mrs. Hooker made, and it discusses the 3 branches of government. We have our local government, which the mayor of your city is in charge of. So local, it would be your town. Then we have our state government, which the governor is in charge of, and that is the state you live in. So mine would be Iowa, that's our state government. And then the last one is the federal government, which the president would be in charge of, and that has to do with the whole United States. So on here, Mrs. Hooker put the different things that each of these governments are responsible for. So for the before we talk about them, I'm sorry, there's a few things I wanted to explain, a few vocabulary words. So the first one is tax. Tax is money that we pay to the government. So if you go to Walmart and you get a Snickers bar and you go up to the counter and it said on the price tag it was $1, but then you have to pay $1.07, that extra 7 cents is tax, and that money goes to the government. And we're going to talk in a little bit about what we use that money for. Okay, the next one is immigration. This is a word that's going to be said. Immigration is people coming to live in America, or if you lived in Canada, it would be people coming to live in Canada, immigrating, immigration. Currency is the money that we use and what it's worth. So we were just looking at a bunch of currency in our little shop. And the last vocabulary word, which we have become familiar with these last few weeks, is quarantine. So quarantine means being away from other people. So it could be because you're sick and you can't get other people sick, so you have to be by yourself. Or it could be that they're sick and you don't want to get sick, and so you put yourself away from them so you don't get sick. And that's the reason why we don't have school, is we're on a quarantine, so we're not all together in one building getting each other sick. We're at home, away from each other, staying healthy. So the responsibilities of the local government. I'm going to try to turn the light on again. I don't know if it might bounce off the page again. We'll see. I just don't feel like we can see it very well. There we go. Okay. So local government is responsible for pet registration. They're responsible for the parking in the city. They're responsible for street signs and making sure that they're where they need to be and that they look nice. They're responsible for waste management, which means your garbage in their town. When you put out your garbage can, they're responsible for that. For sport facilities, so like where you play soccer or baseball or basketball, those sports facilities that the town has, so you can go play those sports. And then town planning is what they're responsible for. So maybe that's like an event that's coming up. Where I'm from, we have a thing called Tulip Time, which is an event that we have and our city has to plan it. So yeah, like parades and different things like that would be town planning. This next one is the state. So the state is responsible for energy. That means how we get our electricity. Police, roads, education, so school, health, prisons, public transportation, so that would be like buses, and railways. Okay, the last one is the federal government. So the federal government is responsible for town commerce, immigration, which we just talked about, currency, taxation, taxes, marriage, defense, quarantines, and foreign policy. So these are what our different governments, our 3 governments, are responsible for: local, state, and federal. So really quick, we're going to talk about taxes and what they are. So I told you taxes are the money that we pay to the government. Your parents, for the jobs that they work, they get a certain amount of money taken out of their check each month to pay taxes to the government. Then also when you go shopping, there's a sales tax for anything you buy. It's that little bit of extra money that's added on to the price. And all of that money goes towards things. So it can go towards things like parking and making parking lots. It could go towards paying for those street signs. It can go towards education, and that money can go to our schools and buying books and buying basketballs for the gym and things like that. That money could go to help pay for, down here, that could go to help pay for the police officers that work with the immigration. It could go to pay for the printing press to print money on. It could go to pay for, well, right now with the quarantine, there's a lot of people that are having to work to figure out what to do for this. And so our tax money could be going to pay for the scientists that are researching it, the doctors that are researching it and helping other people and setting up drive-through clinics and things like that. So our tax dollars go to help fund all of these things that were mentioned, okay? So now for the homework for government for social studies, what we're going to do is you are going to get the opportunity to write a letter to your mayor of your town. So I want you to get out a piece of paper and we're going to write a letter. We're going to talk first about how to write a letter. So Mrs. Hooker made an example of a letter for us today. So how your letter needs to start is with a salutation. A salutation means hello and goodbye. So you start your letter with Dear Mayor. And then you'll notice there's a comma. Then up here you're going to put the date. So if you're writing this today, our date is, if you're writing this on Thursday, the date would be the 19th. Okay, and this is the third month. So you would write 3-19-20. If you're not writing it on Thursday, then you need to find the date and write down the correct date in the top corner. Dear Mayor, comma, hello, comma, my name is, and then put your name, period. I live here in your town, and I really like that our town has blank. So you're going to compliment your mayor on something that your town has.